The African Development Bank is expressing concern that the debt resolution mechanism for Ghana and other debt-distressed African countries has been slow. The Continental Bank argues that although the G20 framework on the debt resolution has been helpful in mitigating the crisis by harmonizing official creditors and other commercial lenders, the debt restructuring in the estimation of the bank has been a difficult process. Addressing the reporters at the 59th AfDB annual meetings in Nairobi, Kenya, President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, called for reform.
The Kenyatta International Convention Center, the venue where African central banks and governments are converging for this year's African Development Bank annual meetings. Unlike never before, stakeholders attending this year's summit hope to scale up the agenda for Africa's transformation while using institutions such as the African Development Bank as a pivot in pushing for reforms in the global financial architecture. President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, in his address to the media, pointed out that reforms must include a new debt resolution mechanism for countries such as Ghana, which are grappling with the sovereign debt crisis.
We lost a decade because it took forever to negotiate anything. And so we are pleased that there's a G20 common framework, which I strongly support, which the African Development Bank strongly supports, the G20 common framework. It's helping to bring creditors that are the private creditors with the official creditors together to negotiate on comparability terms. What are the terms of the debt restructuring that's going to be done? Now, I understand it's a very difficult process because you have Paris Club members, you have non-Paris Club members, and you have commercial debtors, and their needs are quite different from those of official creditors. But it's helped. It's helped with Chad. It's helped with Zambia. It's helped with Ghana. And it's working also in Ethiopia in putting together the various credit committees. That said, that process, everybody agrees, is too slow. You know, if you're going to, if you have somebody that is bleeding and you want to save their life, stop the bleeding faster. Because by the time that you actually do it, they may be dead. And so what you find African countries asking for is a speedier implementation and execution of those global mechanisms to deal with the issue of debt.
This is a statutory engagement of the African Development Bank, and Kenya is hosting the 59th edition of the annual meetings of the AfDB, which is underway here in Nairobi. The Continental Financial Institution says it is dedicating this year to the theme on Africa's economic transformation while using the African Development Bank as a tool that will push for global reforms in the financial architecture.
On the issue of the special drawing rights, and I'm pleased that together with the Inter-American Development Bank and the IMF, that the board of directors of IMF approved that, which is a hybrid instrument that will allow the stretching of those SDRs to be able to lend more. I'm pleased that the board approved $20 billion as a limit for the rechallenging towards hybrid capital for use by multilateral development banks, for example. And it's just this simple. Those SDRs can be leveraged by 4 times, and that $20 billion will become $80 billion. And just tells you the resources you need faster for development.
Blaise Oga reporting for Joy News, Nairobi, Kenya.